In this video, we're going to go through the process to download, install, and use the countPRO software. To download countPRO, go to the SPAC Solutions webpage and navigate to the Help Center. Within the Help Center, click on the countPRO section. Within the Download section, there are two articles which will provide you the software download as well as the correct version of VLC needed to use countPRO. Click into both articles and click the attached link to download.
And once those are downloaded, we're going to extract and install those programs. If you already have them installed and you want to check if you have the correct versions, the version number will be on the top window bar when the program is opened. In VLC, if you open the program, go to the Help menu and select About, you can see the version number displayed there. The version number for VLC will also be displayed in countPRO when you load in a video in the video controls box. To start using countPRO, you will first have to input the software code to get out of demo mode. On the first screen, when you open the program, click the Edit button in License Information and enter in the information for your company and the software serial number provided when you purchase the countPad. Once you've updated that information, you will have to restart the program to get out of demo mode. So we'll just close out and reopen here. In the preferences, there are options to choose the default paths for where your files will go when you export or save them. These can be changed at the time of exporting as well. So if you wanted to save your files somewhere else from these default locations, you can at that time. The option to save a temp file after every interval option will autosave the study after each interval so that if your count is interrupted or your computer crashes or something like that, you will have a autosave copy and you can restart your count. On some systems, this can cause some issues, so if you're having problems and you have that box checked, try unchecking it. The screen width, height, and aspect ratio can be adjusted for the video displayed during the count in countPRO. When doing a study, if the video doesn't fit in that video player, that can be adjusted using these settings. Pixels and ratio you set it to will depend on the resolution of your monitor and the resolution of the video you're using, so you might have to play around with these numbers to get the video to fit correctly in that window. But once it's set up for a specific video for a specific screen, it should be good every single time. You can also change the default headings for the countPRO generated report and change the default date format as well there. Once all your information is entered and your default settings are how you'd like it, you can begin a study. To start a study, the countPad must be plugged into the computer and it must be plugged in before you start the program. If the countPad is not recognized, make sure it isn't plugged into a USB hub. It will need to be plugged into a direct USB port on the computer. If the computer is still not recognizing the countPad, check to see if the backlight on the countPad is glowing red. If it is, that means the firmware has been corrupted and will need to be flashed. You can get some instructions and some help with that by going to spacsolutions.com/technical support and creating a ticket. Someone will reach out and help you out with that. So once you have everything how you'd like and you have the countPad plugged in to the computer, we can start a count. The first step is going to be to load the video or videos that you'd like to process. It'll prompt you for this when you click Start Turn Count or Start Gap Study. It's best practice to only load in one continuous 24-hour video at a time. Multiple files and videos longer than 24 hours can be used. However, it can affect performance and cause some errors during your count. So it's recommended that you have only the one 24-hour file in there at a time. Once you've loaded the video, it will briefly play and then pause. You'll then be prompted to enter in the starting time and date of the video. This will be the time and date on the timestamp in the video, and you can just enter it in that box there. Once those are entered, the other options for the count will appear. Under video controls, you have the option to zoom in on the video, go to a specific time relative to the timestamp of the video, and to completely reset the count. You can also manually adjust the playback speed by using this little slider here. You can also adjust that playback speed by using the buttons on the countPad. This box will also display the information such as the VLC version and the in-video time the program is recording the data as. Sometimes there can be small gaps in the video of less than a second when the files are joined, and that can cause the video over time to be off from the timestamp. So it's best practice to occasionally check this and adjust the starting time as needed to get the times to sync up correctly. If you adjust the start time of the video while you're processing data, it won't affect any of the data that was already recorded, so you can adjust this to synchronize it with the timestamp in the video and the video time that it shows on countPRO. In the turning movement study box, you'll have the options to choose the intervals, which are displayed in minutes. You can select the approaches, which allow up to 4, some optional events and bank options. Bank options will allow you to double the amount of classifications you can do in one study by pressing the bank button on the count pad and then pressing the direction or event you would like to record. All these options need to be selected before you can start your count. If you change these options during a count, it'll clear all the data that was stored and can cause some problems down the line. So make sure that these settings, you set them before you start collecting your data. And once you have everything set up how you'd want, you can begin collecting data by pressing the start button on the screen or by pressing the pause button on the count pad. This will start the video. And then on the count pad, there are buttons to speed and slow the video playback, as we mentioned earlier. And there's also an undo button. This button will undo only the last recorded result, and it won't undo any further than that. So if you press the undo button multiple times, it will only undo that last recorded result. It won't undo, say, the last 4 or 5 cars if you press it 4 or 5 times. Once you are done processing video and the video has ended, or when you press the pause button, it'll bring up the options to save, export, and generate a report. Saving the study will save the options and recorded data for the count and allow you to resume it at a later time. A note that if you have the option to auto-save the count after every interval is checked, backup copy of your study will be saved, but it'll be saved as a temporary file named temp. If you start another study and that option is still checked, it'll overwrite that file. So if you plan on starting this count and then resuming it at another time, it's recommended that you save that study and not rely on the autosave. The export button will bring up a window that will allow you to export the results to either an Excel file or a countPRO file. You will also be able to enter in information that will be then populated into those files. So you can do your street names in there. You can also adjust the date and time and the name of that study file when it's exported. The report button will bring up a window that will generate a report based on options you've selected in that window. You'll also be able to input information that will show up in the report generated. There's also an option to conduct a gap study using the count pad and countPRO. This option will be available on the first screen when the program is opened. Setting up the study will be exactly the same as setting up a turning movement count minus the turning movement count options, as you can see. To record a gap, you can press and hold the heavy through button on the count pad in the direction of the vehicle, release when the next vehicle enters to record the gap. And then you can continue to do this, so as cars go by, you're pressing and holding that button for each gap you want to record. You can also record volume by using the car through vehicle button, again, in any of the direction that you want to record that. The save, export, and report buttons will function the same as during a turning movement count, with the exception that you will not be able to export this to a countPRO file. If you've saved a study you want to finish at a later date, open the program and click the Continue button to bring up a list of all the saved studies in that default folder. If your study is saved elsewhere, you can click Change the Starting Folder Tree button to change the folder the program will look in. So if you have it saved to, say, on your desktop, you can change that there and it'll look in whatever folder you select. Once you've selected the study you'd like to resume, the program will open up as normal. You will be prompted to enter the time that the video starts. If you have moved the video file from the location it was in when the study was started, the program will crash. So make sure that your files were all in the same location as when you started the study.